Welcome to your personalized deep dive on reaching financial freedom. You shared Grant Sabatier's book, Financial Freedom, so we're going to help you pull out the most valuable investment strategies.
That's right. And since you're already pretty savvy with investing, we can skip the basics and really dig into how to make your money work harder, faster, and smarter.
Exactly. We're not just talking about simple index funds here. Sabatier has a whole system for accelerating your wealth building, and it all starts with understanding this key difference between investing and gambling.
He's really adamant that too many people approach the stock market like a casino. They're chasing hot tips or trying to time the market, which almost never works out in the long run.
Instead, he's all about building a solid foundation based on informed decisions, and I love this part, understanding why you're making those choices.
He even challenges the idea of relying solely on financial advisors. He argues that for many people, especially those aiming for early financial freedom learning, to manage your own money is the key to maximizing your returns.
It's that whole teach a person to fish philosophy, right? So let's say you're ready to take the reins and start building that portfolio. Where do you even begin?
Well, Sabatier breaks it down by time horizon. Let's say you're saving for a down payment on a house in the next few years. That's short term for retirement. Decades from now, it's long term, and each needs a different approach.
Makes sense. So walk me through it. How should I approach my short-term versus long-term goals?
For those short-term goals, Sabatier recommends considering options like high-yield savings accounts, CDs, or even short-term bond funds. These tend to be less volatile, so your money is there when you need it. But for the long game, the focus shifts to stocks and bonds, and if you're more than a decade away from needing the money, he gets really bold here. He suggests a 100% stock allocation.
Whoa, 100%. That sounds pretty aggressive. Is he suggesting everyone goes all in on stocks?
Not exactly. He emphasizes that this strategy is for those who are comfortable with higher risk and have a longer time horizon to ride out any market dips, and he backs it up with compelling historical data over the last century. The U.S. stock market has averaged returns of over 7% per year. Even with all the ups and downs, the long-term trend has consistently been upward.
I see his point, but even with that historical data, a 100% stock portfolio would make me a little nervous, especially knowing how volatile the market can be.
Of course, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
He spends a good chunk of the book talking about risk tolerance and how to figure out the right asset allocation for you. But here's the thing that really jumped out at me. Even if you're not comfortable going 100% stocks, he makes a really strong case for maximizing your stock exposure, especially when time is on your side.
That's definitely a different perspective than I've heard from most financial advisors. They're always preaching diversification. But it sounds like Sabatier is saying don't be afraid to lean into the growth potential of stocks.
That's exactly it. And this is but he stresses the importance of choosing the right stocks. He's not talking about picking individual companies based on gut feelings or rumors.
So where does he suggest we focus our attention when choosing stocks?
This is where his philosophy on index funds comes in. He's a huge advocate for low-cost index funds, especially for beginners. He argues that trying to pick individual stocks is more akin to gambling than investing, and statistically speaking, most active investors don't actually beat the market.
That's a pretty bold statement. So he's basically saying ditch the stock picking and stick with index funds.
Pretty much he's all about keeping it simple and efficient.
Yeah.
He even gives specific recommendations for which index funds to consider, like a total U.S. stock market fund or an S&P 500 fund.
Okay, so I'm sold on the index fund concept, but what exactly is the difference between a total U.S. stock market fund and an S&P 500 fund?
A total U.S. stock market index fund aims to track the performance of the entire U.S. stock market. Think thousands of stocks across all sectors, large and small. It's like owning a tiny slice of every publicly traded company in America.
Wow, that's a lot of diversification. So what about the S&P 500? How does that differ?
The S&P 500 is more focused. It tracks the 500 largest companies in the U.S. While it's not as broad as a total market fund, it still captures a significant portion of the market's performance.
So both offer great diversification, but one is broader than the other. Is there a clear winner in terms of performance?
Actually, Sabatier presents data showing that the long-term returns of both funds have been remarkably similar. So the choice often comes down to personal preference and what's available in your specific investment accounts.
Okay, so we've covered stocks, bonds, and index funds. What else should I keep in mind when building my portfolio?
This is where it gets really interesting. He digs into how even seemingly small fees can dramatically impact your returns over time. He calls them silent killers because they can eat away at your gains without you even realizing it.
I've heard of this before, but honestly, those fees have always seemed like small potatoes compared to the potential gains.
He actually shares a real-life example in the book. This couple was unknowingly losing almost 30% of their returns to high fees. That's a huge chunk of their potential wealth just vanishing.
Ouch, that's a painful realization. I'm definitely starting to pay more attention to the fees associated with my investments.
That's a smart move.
Yeah.
Sabatier is really adamant about scrutinizing fees, especially if you're working with a financial advisor or investing in actively managed funds.
So if I'm trying to minimize fees, where should I be looking?
Sticking with those low-cost index funds we talked about is a great start. They're known for their low expense ratios, which means more of your money stays invested and working for you.
Okay, so minimizing fees is crucial for maximizing returns. Is there anything else I should be aware of when it comes to these sneaky costs?
He also warns about hidden fees that can lurk within certain investments. These might be tucked away in the fine print, so it's really important to do your homework and understand exactly what you're paying for.
This is really making me rethink my entire approach to investing. It's not just about picking the right investments, but also making sure those fees aren't eating away at my gains.
That's exactly the mindset shift he's trying to encourage. He wants people to become more aware of those hidden costs and make informed decisions that protect their wealth.
So far, this is all about making smart investment choices, but what about taxes? How do those fit into the equation? Taxes are definitely something I could be more strategic about. I always feel like I'm leaving money on the table.
That's a common feeling, and it's one of the reasons Sabatier dedicates a whole section to tax optimization. He argues that maximizing tax advantages can be just as impactful as choosing the right investments.
So it's not just about how much you invest, but also how you invest it.
Exactly. He breaks down the different types of investment accounts and shows you how to leverage each one to minimize your tax burden and supercharge your returns.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into these tax saving strategies. What are the main account types I should know about?
He focuses on three main categories: tax-free contribution accounts, tax-free withdrawal accounts, and taxable accounts.
All right, let's break those down one by one, starting with tax-free contributions. How do those work?
With these accounts, you contribute pre-tax dollars, which lowers your taxable income. Right now, you'll eventually pay taxes when you withdraw the money, typically in retirement.
So it's like delaying those taxes and letting your money grow tax deferred in the meantime.
That's the idea. Common examples include 401k, traditional IRAs, and HSAs.
And I'm guessing that employer match is a huge perk of 401k, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He emphasizes that if your employer offers a match, contribute enough to get the full amount. It's essentially free money.
Can't argue with free money. Okay, so what about tax-free withdrawal accounts? Those sound even better.
With these accounts, you pay taxes on your contributions up front, but your withdrawals in retirement, including any investment gains, are completely tax-free.
That sounds like a pretty sweet deal. What are some examples of tax-free withdrawal accounts?
The most common are Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks. Now, choosing between traditional and Roth can be tricky, and Sabatier provides some helpful guidelines.
Okay, walk me through it. How do I know which one is right for me?
It really comes down to your tax bracket now versus your expected tax bracket in retirement if you think you'll be in a lower tax bracket later. Traditional account might be more beneficial, but if you expect to be in a higher tax bracket in retirement, a Roth could be the better choice.
So it's all about projecting those future tax brackets and choosing the account that minimizes your overall tax burden.
You got it. And for those who are considering early retirement, Sabatier has some specific recommendations.
Early retirement is definitely on my radar, so I'm all ears.
He leans toward traditional accounts for early retirees because of something called a Roth conversion ladder, which can help you access your funds before age 59-12 without incurring penalties.
Okay, that's something I'll need to research further. So we've covered 401ks and IRAs. What other tax-advantaged accounts should I be thinking about?
HSAs, or health savings accounts, are a hidden gem that Sabatier highlights. They offer triple tax advantages. Contributions are tax deductible. The money grows tax-free, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are also tax-free.
Wow, triple tax benefits. That sounds amazing.
He even suggests considering an HSA as an investment vehicle for retirement. You can pay medical expenses out of pocket now and let those HSA funds grow tax-free for decades.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. I need to look into these HSAs, but what happens once I've maxed out all these tax-advantaged options?
That's where taxable accounts come in. These are accounts like brokerage accounts where you pay taxes on both contributions and investment gains.
So no escaping taxes with these accounts. What are some strategies for minimizing the tax hit in a taxable account?
Holding investments for longer than a year qualifies you for the lower capital gains tax rate. And he points out that if you can keep your taxable income below certain thresholds, you might not owe any taxes on those gains at all.
Wow, that's a powerful incentive to keep income low. So how should I approach investing in a taxable account?
Sabatier recommends maintaining consistency with your overall investment strategy. Stick with those low-cost index funds and maintain your target asset allocation, just like you would in your tax-advantaged accounts.
So it's about creating a unified strategy across all my accounts, regardless of their tax status.
Exactly. And here's a nuance he mentions about bonds as your portfolio grows. Consider holding your tax-efficient bond funds within your taxable account,
Why is that beneficial?
because bond returns are generally lower than stock returns. Keeping them in your taxable account helps to minimize your annual tax liability. It's a small tweak that can make a difference over time.
Okay, so we've covered tax-advantaged and taxable accounts, and it sounds like index funds are the cornerstone of his investment strategy. But does he ever talk about investing in individual stocks?
He does, while he advocates for index funds as the foundation,
Mhm.
he understands that some people are drawn to the potential excitement and rewards of stock picking.
I have to admit, the idea of picking the next Apple or Tesla is pretty tempting.
He cautions against over-allocating to individual stocks, though he argues that statistically, the odds of consistently beating the market through stock picking are very slim.
So it's a high-risk, high-reward game.
That's one way to put it. He suggests limiting individual stock investments to no more than 5% of your overall portfolio. It's about finding that balance between diversification and the potential upside of stock picking.
Okay, so if I do decide to dip my toes into stock picking, what advice does he offer?
He actually shares some intriguing insights into effective stock picking strategies, including value investing and dividend investing.
I've heard those terms before, but honestly don't really understand how they work. Can you break those down for me?
Value investing, which is championed by Warren Buffett, involves seeking out undervalued companies with strong fundamentals and holding on to those investments for the long haul.
So it's about finding those hidden gems that the market hasn't fully recognized yet.
Exactly. It requires patience research and a strong belief in the long-term growth potential of those companies.
And what about dividend investing? How does that work?
Dividend investing involves building a portfolio of stocks that pay dividends, essentially providing you with a stream of regular income. However, Sabatier points out that dividend payments aren't guaranteed, and this strategy often requires more active management than investing in index funds.
So there are pros and cons to each strategy, and it's all about aligning your approach with your personal risk tolerance and financial goals.
That's the key takeaway. He emphasizes that there's no one-size-fits-all solution, and the best investment strategy is the one that's tailored to your individual circumstances and objectives.
This is all incredibly insightful. I feel like I'm gaining a much deeper understanding of how to approach building a well-rounded and tax-efficient portfolio.
That's great to hear. And Sabatier doesn't just leave you hanging with all this information. He also provides some practical advice on putting these strategies into action.
Okay, let's talk about the practical side of things. What are his key recommendations for actually managing your investments?
He cautions against simply setting up automatic contributions and forgetting about them. He advocates for a more engaged approach that combines automation with regular manual adjustments.
So it's not just about setting it and forgetting it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He suggests regularly increasing your automated contributions and supplementing those with manual investments of any extra income you earn.
So it's about consistently pushing those contributions higher while also actively seeking out additional investment opportunities.
That's right. It's about being proactive and engaged with your finances, not just passive.
This is making me realize that I need to be more intentional with my approach.
Sabatier's point is that even small, consistent efforts can lead to significant long-term gains. It's about making those small adjustments over time, like increasing your savings rate by 1% every few months to accelerate your progress.
This is inspiring me to take action. I'm feeling motivated to revisit my current contributions and see where I can make some adjustments.
That's the spirit. And speaking of inspiration, Sabatier leaves readers with a powerful thought. Every dollar invested today is an investment in your future freedom.
That's a great way to put it. It's a reminder that those seemingly small decisions we make today can have a profound impact on our future selves.
Absolutely. And he emphasizes that you don't need to be a financial expert to get started. The most important step is simply to start and continuously educate yourself along the way.
That's reassuring. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the complexities of investing, but it sounds like the key is to take that first step and learn as you go.
Precisely. And as you become more knowledgeable and experienced, you can refine your strategies and make adjustments based on your evolving circumstances and goals.
This deep dive has been incredibly valuable. I feel like I'm equipped with a solid framework for accelerating my path to financial freedom.
That's fantastic. And remember, It's not about finding the one right answer. It's about understanding the principles, applying them to your unique situation, and being adaptable as you learn and grow.
I'm definitely feeling more confident and empowered to take control of my finances. This deep dive has been a game changer for me. I feel like I'm walking away with a renewed sense of clarity and purpose when it comes to my investments.
That's what we like to hear. It seems like a lot. But Sabatier does a great job of breaking it all down into manageable steps.
He really does. It's not just theory either. He
Mhm.
backs up his strategies with real-world examples and data, which makes it much easier to understand and apply the concepts.
He's also very clear about the importance of finding what works best for you, your risk tolerance, your goals, your time frame. All of that plays a role in shaping your ideal investment strategy.
Absolutely. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, and I think that's a really empowering message.
It is. And as you continue to learn and refine your approach, I'd like to leave you with a thought that really resonated with me from the book.
Okay, I'm all ears. What stood out to you?
It's this idea that every dollar you invest is not just about building wealth, it's about investing in your future freedom.
I love that it reframes the whole concept of investing. It's not just about accumulating money, it's about creating a life where you have more choices and opportunities.
Exactly. And those choices might be different for everyone. For some, it might be early retirement. For others, it might be the freedom to pursue a passion project or travel the world. The point is that financial freedom gives you the power to design a life that aligns with your values and aspirations.
That's such a powerful concept. It's not just about the numbers, it's about what those numbers enable you to do with your life.
And that brings us to another key takeaway. It's never too late to start. You don't need to be a financial expert or have a huge income to get started. The most important step is to simply begin.
It's about taking action, even if it's just small steps at first.
Exactly. Start where you are with what you have and focus on building those positive habits that will compound over time.
This has been an incredible deep dive. I feel
Yeah.
like I have a whole new toolbox of strategies to work with.
And remember, this is just the beginning of your journey. The more you learn and the more you engage with your finances, the more confident and empowered you'll become.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to take action before we wrap up. I wanted to ask you about something we touched on earlier, the idea of aligning investments with personal values.
Ah, yes. That's a really interesting concept that Sabatier brings up. He talks about how some investors choose to allocate a portion of their portfolio to companies or funds that support causes they believe in.
So it's like taking that sense of intentionality to a whole new level.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that your money can be a force for good in the world, even beyond your own personal finances.
I'm really intrigued by this idea. It would definitely add another layer of purpose to my investment strategy.
It's something to explore further as you continue to learn and grow as an investor. And who knows, it might spark some interesting conversations about how we can all use our financial resources to make a positive impact.
This deep dive has given me so much to think about and explore. I'm excited to start putting these principles into action and crafting a financial future that aligns with my values and aspirations.
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, we're always here to support you on your journey. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or want to explore these ideas further.
Thank you so much for guiding me through this insightful deep dive. I feel equipped and inspired to embark on this next chapter of my financial journey.